Welcome to a warm and cozy Black Friday on the PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us. If you're hearing us after Black Friday, hope you had good holidays. Hope you had some good Thanksgiving. The Bears got stuffed, and we will discuss that and so much more. More jokes about holidays and things of that nature, and getting you ready for our live show on December the 4th in Detroit, Magic Stick and the Majestic Theater, downtown Detroit, 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. But for now, we've got plenty to talk about with this here Thanksgiving game, because the Lions, for the first time in Dan Campbell's career and the first time, I believe, since 2016?
Yep.
16. Good Lord, it's been that long. Have won on Thanksgiving. And I'm not even sure if that's the right word really to use, because we have to start with, what the hell did the Bears do? And as much as it's a Lions podcast, we're talking about what the Lions did. I don't know how else to approach this to start. I'm Chris Perfett, the adequate host, at Chris Perfett on Twitter, Perfett on Blue Sky, where I'm spending more of my time now. Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader, at Detroit Lions on X, at Detroit Lion on X, singular. Jeremy, in one word, what the hell did the Bears do?
Lose.
Thank you. Good answer. Ryan Matthews, at Ryan_POD, senior editor. I don't think I've ever seen. We've seen a lot of cursed endings as Detroit Lions fans and covering the Detroit Lions, Ryan. I don't know how I would have reacted if that was how the Lions lost a game.
I'm glad that we don't have to even entertain that thought, because the Detroit Lions are 11-1.
That's right. 11-1.
I don't even remember what it's like to lose a game, let alone lose a game in that fashion.
God, that was so long ago.
I think the Lions this week are not beating the plot armor charges, Ryan, because I don't know how any team, not the Lions or the Chiefs, ends up winning that game in that fashion.
Hey, like Dan Campbell said, I'm not gonna even get into the business of grading wins at this point, because when you have as many practice squad defenders out on the field as the Detroit Lions had by the end of that game, the fact that they, effectively, with a little bit of help from the Bears, got that stop on that final drive.
Right.
That's incredible in and of itself. So.
Right, and I think the net is like, imagine how crappy it would feel today to have lost all those guys to injuries and lost the football game.
And be 10-2. That would suck.
That part would be okay.
I think that is something we have to keep taking stock, even as like the ship gets rickety and like you look closer to taking a second loss, and it may happen against the Packers, who knows, but like, this has been a really cool season so far. This is the first 11-win season in Lions history, I think.
Not the first 11-win season. The first time they've ever started 11-1.
That first time they started 11-1,
yes,
though.
11 wins in the first 12 games has quite literally never happened at all in the 90-year history of the Detroit Lions. So it is worth taking a step back and being like, we are witnessing history. There has never been a group of Detroit Lions fans who have witnessed what we are currently witnessing.
And is it tied for the longest winning streak in Lions history?
Yes, 10 wins in a row.
Tied. Yeah.
It's 1934, the first year of the Detroit Lions. They started 10-0 and then lost the last 3 games.
The last time you watched the Detroit Lions lose, I was still 37.
That feels like ages ago.
Wow, we're really doing the numbers thing right now, aren't we, huh?
I can't believe what I saw on Thursday. Sitting down, my hands through my eyes after that defensive pass interference, which really should not have been, but whatever. Like, I think both teams have a right to complain about officiating after yesterday on how some of that was going. It was not great for either team. But for the Lions, who had a good, very healthy start to this game on offense, against a very good Bears defense, we must keep reiterating that. Like, for whatever faults they have, for whatever bad challenge Matty Eberflus decides to throw, and for whatever it is, because his job is canned today, the first in Bears history to be in 100 years to be fired mid-season as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. The Lions did that. For all of that, they still are a good defensive team, and they gave the Lions everything they could handle. I've not usually seen the rhythm disrupted of the Lions the way they did in that game. But they played the same defense the Lions like to play. Bend, don't break. Don't let up. Just don't let them in the end zone. And they were very tough and very concise throughout a lot of this game. The Lions answered. They had their points, and this could have probably been a very different game, Jeremy, if that ball doesn't fly out of Jahmyr Gibbs' hands somewhere around the halfway point of this game. That could have been a laugher before halftime, but it wasn't. Instead, we get set up for a Caleb Williams comeback as Lions defenders are dropping like flies. DJ Reader makes a sack and immediately has to come out of the game to go to the blue medical tent, that kind of day that it was. And it felt cursed, cursed, cursed. And then you realize, like Jonas said on our Purview podcast, oh wait, this is actually a different type of team. It's like the 2016 Chicago Bears. You keep waiting for the bottom to fall out, but somehow all of that bad luck is just rubber banding back the other way. And what happens instead is on the penultimate play, Za'Darius Smith sacks Caleb Williams. The Bears are all flustered. And then they try to run a play and the game ends. It's ugly, disgusting poetry. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful for a Detroit Lions win.
So if you didn't watch the game, you just got all the cliff notes from Clifford Pett. Those were all the beats to the game, everybody.
Let's start with the end of the game, because
you have to tell the whole story.
We have to start at the end, because it was just the most unreal ending. I've never witnessed an end to that, and it feels like the Bears are living the life that Lions fans were living for 30 years, where it was just every week it's some unique way to lose a football game. And I mean, so just to break it down really quickly, based on what both Eberflus and I almost said Justin Fields, Caleb Williams said at the end of the game, it seems like the plan after the sack was to run a play relatively quickly, within the first 15 or 20 seconds of after the play happening, holding that timeout so that you can run the play anywhere on the field, call the timeout, kick the field goal from wherever you get that play. That seems like a reasonable plan. Seems like it makes a lot of sense. I probably would have called the timeout after the sack so that you could gather your thoughts and, have plenty of time to run a play. And you can still run a play anywhere on the field. Just make sure everyone on special teams know as soon as the play is over, you got to rush out on the field and kick it. But between the sack and somewhere from running the play, snapping the football, Caleb Williams took it upon himself to call some sort of audible or just something. And I don't know, based on his post-game comments, I am not entirely sure that Caleb Williams knew they had a timeout. And then he saw the clock that was already down to 12 seconds. And normal people would say, okay, I'm going to snap it now. And I still have that timeout and I can run it anywhere still. And this play's not going to take 12 seconds long. Instead, he's like, it's already at 12 seconds. I guess I have to throw this one in the end zone and try to win it on one play. And of course, it doesn't happen. And I mean, just an epic meltdown of epic proportions. You brought up all the crazy stuff that happened before that on that drive, whether there's a pass interference, there was a holding penalty, or there was illegal hands to the face, there was offensive pass interference, defensive pass interference. It was
the phantom false start on the DPI as well, I believe.
Sure. And there may have been a non-called delay of game because there were several of those in the game. And then the game just ends, and everyone is just standing in stunned silence. Dan Campbell is holding the team back from running on the field because he can't quite believe that the game's over. The stands don't know if they should cheer or not, or yet not, because we're not sure if the game's over. And I'm just like, I'm punching the air, but like, it says triple zeros right there. The game is over. Why isn't anyone celebrating right now? What's happening?
I was listening to the radio broadcast, Ryan, and Dan Miller had to repeat this game is over at least 3 times and said, what were the Bears doing? And then you could hear Lomas kind of sneaking in with like, bad Eberflus has to be gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what really took so long. What changed between about 3:45 yesterday and, we're recording this at, about 5 o'clock. What happened in the 12 hours between Eberflus's, gaffe and him getting fired? I don't know. Curious as to the decision making there, but I didn't know the game was over. I saw the play happen, but I didn't know the game was over because I was like, "There's no way that they would let all that time run out." Like, and I think maybe I had a Caleb Williams moment. I don't know. My awareness just completely tanked, went to zero. And the funny thing is, Jeremy, when you bring up him calling the audible, we talked about it with Burkus on the First Bite podcast, but letting Caleb Williams kind of play that superhero ball every once in a while. It's like, it seems like maybe one of those moments where he feels like he needs to make a play when he didn't need to really do all that much. If he just doesn't take that sack, the Bears are in field goal range. That sack really pushed them to the border, right? Like, and that's why they had to run the play. I think personally, Jeremy, I'm right there with you. At a certain point, Eberflus had to just call the timeout.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you call a different play. And like you said, you also had that special teams unit ready to run on the field and kick a field goal. It ultimately comes down to Eberflus, and that's why he's the one who got fired, because this isn't the first time it's happened. It's not the second time it's happened.
And it's also the every time it happens, he doesn't take responsibility. The man comes out and says,
he said
I
he
think
liked
we ran
what
this,
he did.
Yeah, I think we ran fine. I think everything good.
My God. I
compare that to Dan
guys.
Campbell really quick. Like, if the times Dan Campbell has made a mistake that has cost his team the game, or at least cost his team a chance at the game, what happens in the post-game presser? The dude
accountability.
Balls his freaking eyes out about how he let the team down.
Yeah, but that seems to have been, like, from people I've talked to, that seems to be the mood around the Bears organization. Is it doesn't seem like the team really liked Eberflus at the end with any of this stuff because of that kind of thing. Because he threw plenty of people under the bus. He would throw in offensive changes without telling the press first, without telling coaches first. It's crazy. And I think I agree with you guys. Like, I feel like as much as Caleb Williams was freelancing out there, I think I said as much on the post game, like, you at least have the timeout as the coach. And with 30 seconds left, there's a official over there looking specifically to you, knowing that you have the timeout, knowing you might want to take it. You could get it in at any point, even if it's like, all right, fine, you burned the time, whatever. Like, at least get it in. Maybe Cairo Santos doesn't have the leg to hit a 58-yarder. Maybe you've got to try to take a Hail Mary shot at the end zone or whatever. But at least give yourself, like, your receivers weren't even set. Like, you should have, like, at least, I don't know what he was doing in that moment, ordering Chinese. Like, I can
tell you what the entire Bears sideline was doing. They were jumping up and down and waving their arms and just like, why is everyone just standing around, for Lord's sake? Just do something. Just do something.
Yeah. But, I mean, the other clear key big takeaway for me is that Aaron Glenn is 100% the assistant coach of the year, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't anybody out there who's doing more with less than Aaron Glenn. Like, we would spend the rest of this segment if we listed all of the players that aren't on that defense that were on that defense 11 weeks ago. Right? Like, Caleb Williams going 20 for 39 with 256 yards passing and 3 touchdowns is a complete mirage. Like, that offense did nothing the first half. And by nothing, I mean not just not score touchdowns and not just put points on the board in terms of field goals. They didn't get a freaking first down until late.
50 seconds left. 50 seconds left in the second half.
It was an absolute
first half
shut down. Caleb Williams was inaccurate. Cornerbacks I thought this was one of Terrion Arnold's better games that he's played so far as a rookie, especially with the stakes. He's the number one corner, and he didn't even get the start in this game. And I don't know how much kind of mental, kind of like, maybe just get yourself ramped up and get yourself ready to like go in there, like get some visual reps first. We kind of talked about that, Jeremy. You said in your conversation with Amik Robertson how he kind of watches from the sideline, and if playing so much nickel, you watch the outside guys if you need to go handle those responsibilities for a snap or two. Maybe they kind of work that same tactic with Terrion to get him ready. But everybody on this defense, like, there's so much to get to on the defense, even though the second half did happen. But I mean, the first half, they weren't doing anything, literally anything.
Yeah. They had to deal with attrition starting in warmups, right? Like, Emmanuel Mosley was going to play in this game in some aspect, and he's out due to an unknown issue, but something pops up, and then you lose Levi, then you lose Pascal, then you lose
Rodrigo
Malcolm,
before half,
right? And then like Chris was saying, you had some of your defensive linemen pop in and out, dealing with cramps and other things.
Rodriguez, before he left, was taking interior defensive lineman snaps.
Yeah, I mean they.
Or he was taking D line snaps. A linebacker was lining up on the line.
Yeah.
That's what the Lions were dealing with.
That's also the funky stuff that Rodrigo can do, though, too. Like he
Yeah,
plays nickelback sometimes, like
Right.
which
not just the
is
band.
just such a huge bummer for the guy to tear his ACL. Beyond the fact that like the Lions were literally on their last leg when
Yeah.
it came to players who started the season with them, as far as linebackers go.
Yeah. And
let's
celebrate some of these guys that have stepped in though, because I mean, like
dude.
Al-Qadim Muhammad.
What a day!
Where
what
did
a
that
day!
come? Like it was incredible because he like when they first played him, like what seems like a month ago, it seemed like okay, there was some stuff there. Cool, let's see what he can do. And then Josh Paschal returns and like we all forget about Al-Qadim. He goes back to the practice squad. We forget about him. Comes back today and Dan even said it was like, man, it was good to get that guy out there. He's ferocious and he's got a really good tenacity to him, and he very much fits what the Lions want to do in terms of being physical, being relentless. And he goes out there and gets one sack and like 7 pressures or something insane. You talk about some of the other guys on the defensive line too. Your interior guys are standing tall. And I mean, listen, it sounds like Pascal's going to miss a little bit of time, but it's not a serious injury. In the meantime, that means you have Zadarius Smith, who again showed up in big moments yesterday, had 9 pressures according to PFF. You have Aleem McNeil, you have DJ Reader, you have Al-Qadim Muhammad. I know that's not at all what this looked like at the beginning, but I wouldn't call that a bad defensive front, would you?
No, I think it is. It's a defensive front that can get you to January. I think that's what it is. That's a defensive front that can get you to January, and you hope you get your reinforcements, Anzalone back, and maybe John Kaminsky at some point. If he's still eligible to return, I think he still is.
Assuming they don't burn all of their other IR. I mean, that's the thing.
God.
Like we've been kind of joking in the past weeks, like they only got 8 that they're allowed to use, and then they get an additional 2 in the playoffs, up 10 guys that they can return from IR. And before it was like, okay, I know there's a lot of injuries, but they're not going to use all of them. And now it's like
maybe it's on the table.
they might have to use all of them now.
I mean, even Jalen Reeves-Maybin, right?
Yep.
You hope you get him back as far as another linebacker, but that's another IR designation that they're gonna have to burn. But I have one stat real quick, Chris, and then I'll kick it to you. But the thing about what Jeremy just said about the defensive front, this was one of my favorite stats from this game. The Lions pressured Caleb Williams on 17 dropbacks without blitzing. Their most non-blitz pressures in a game, not this year, not going back to last year, since Dan Campbell took over as head coach.
That's wild.
Since Aaron Glenn became defensive coordinator, the most pressures on non-blitz dropbacks, and that's huge for this defense that wants to play man.
It's huge. And listen, the Bears do not have a good offensive line. That's kind of been well known about them in the season. But that's what you start with, and you keep building on it. You'll have the Packers. You have some tough ones coming up, especially with the Bills. But if you can, you're going to take on a couple losses, and it sucks because I know the Vikings are probably somewhere around there. But if you can just again, this is a defensive front I think that can hold you steady to January. As far as I'm concerned, the Lions are already in the playoffs. It's just a matter of making sure that everything is shipwright. So when you get there, it doesn't matter if it'll be a wild card division 1 seed. I know the Lions would love the 1 seed for that extra week off or whatever, but at this point, the goal is just health for the playoffs itself. You just can't take on much more of this. But again, I think we were going to talk about this in the case of injuries, that you mentioned it, Ryan, about Aaron Glenn, assistant coach of the year. Ezekiel Turner's out there, and I think he logged half a sack in this game. The ability to put these guys in place. People always dismiss the injuries and say next man up, and I would always say, yeah, but look at how far down the depth chart they are. But as you say, the Lions won this game with very deep in the cookie jar, scrambling around for whatever crumbs, and they're still active and just added Quan Alexander from the Denver Broncos practice squad.
And breaking news, they actually added just a new defensive end, Jonah Williams, who was formerly on the Rams. From the Rams practice squad.
Jonah Williams. Wow.
Not the offensive tackle Jonah Williams, a different Jonah Williams.
Yeah.
He has, this literally just dropped right now, 2.5 career sacks. Played in 48 total games, 22 starts. I I don't have a ton of information, but back in 2023, he started 16 games for the Rams. So last year, he started 16 games for the Rams.
So okay, but again, these are all guys that like seem to fit. Come from. Here's the thing. I think the Lions like what they're getting out of the Denver's refuse pile. They certainly went there with Tim Patrick, who's been beyond productive for the Lions, Ryan, and now they're getting Quan Alexander and Rams. That's kind of something similar to what a lot of the Lions do, but it just shows like it's not enough for them. They won all of this. They're not going there. We can talk about what they did or didn't do at a trade deadline, but they're pulling out all the stops here because they know the goal. As I said, this is a defense that its goal right now, get through December, keep the ship steady, and then anything can happen.
Well, they kind of have to because they literally don't have enough bodies. So
yeah, I know.
They have to go out and do this. Another number that I thought was incredible and just shows you how well of a job the coaching staff is doing is how quickly they've onboarded Zadarius Smith, who had, his best game. I know it's only his third game, but he played 55 snaps yesterday.
Yeah.
He hasn't played 55 snaps since 2022, which is, again, like, not only do they trust the guy and not only did they kind of need him, but he went out of the game twice. On two separate occasions, he left the field because of injury. Came back, had a season high 9 pressures, and also got did he have a sack and a half?
I think he had, I think they carded him with just a half sack in there. I believe the other half of that went to, I want to say, DJ Reader.
Maybe.
Who also, again, played a lot of snaps.
He got a sack. He got a sack and a half. So
yeah,
huge game from the defensive line. They were really the difference maker. Aleem is awesome and great. Drew penalties, was really good in run defense, and that's something else. Jeremy, right? Like the run defense, is it still real or what?
Yep, no question. And listen, that's something that's not going to go away. I mean, I know they're cycling through linebackers and things like that, but the interior of that defensive line is still a stonewall, right? And that is still going to make teams one-dimensional, and that means you're going to funnel guys to your secondary who are still pretty healthy and still pretty good. And so I understand the sense of this feeling like a sinking ship, and is the defense going to take a step back? I mean, yeah, probably. Let's be honest.
And we're also going to be playing some much tougher teams here, especially with the Bills coming up.
The last 5 games, you could argue that 4 of those teams have top 10 offenses. The Packers, the Bills, the Vikings, and the 49ers. I know the 49ers don't look like they used to, but they've got talent, and they might get healthy by the time, we're 4 weeks down the line here. But really quick, like, while we're talking about all of these reserves coming in and playing at a high level, like, let's give a little credit to Brad Holmes, because we always credit him for what he does in the draft. And granted, he is more of a college personnel guy. So maybe you want to give some love to the pro personnel side, maybe a little Ray Agnew love, but they're going out and getting guys who not only fit the system, but like can come in here and play immediately. Ezekiel Turner was added less than a month ago. David Long was added just less than a month ago. And those guys combined for 34 snaps. And now you got Quan Alexander coming in. Now you have Jonah Williams coming in. These guys are going to be expected to contribute. And I actually really like the Quan Alexander signing, because that's a 10-year vet coming into a very, very, very young linebacking room that doesn't have like the Anzalone,
Quan Alexander is a former. He's a Pro Bowler. He's a former Pro Bowler.
And,
yeah,
I mean he's torn both of his Achilles, so kind of fits the Brad Holmes mold of like, okay, this guy's injured, let's buy low and see what happens. But he started a game for Denver this year, and I think he produced like a 90-something PFF grade. Now, I'm going to be straight honest. I don't trust PFF linebacker grades. I don't trust most PFF grades in general, but especially linebacker grades. So we'll wait and see. But I just love having a guy that has that much experience under his belt to step in, because you can expect that guy to like step in and play next week if you want him to.
We'll talk a little bit more about the injuries, and I feel like now that we've kind of emptied the chamber a little bit on defense, we should talk a little bit about the offense and what's been going on. More notes from this game, and just more celebration of a Lions win on Thanksgiving. Thank you, Bears, by the way, for just being you. Just being you.
Yeah, hey, can we all say one thing that we were thankful for real quick before we had to break?
Sure, what's that?
Well, so
Matt Eberflus. Oh, I thought we were all going to say Matt Eberflus.
No, you thought it was going to be a bit.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be bad.
Yeah. No, I wanted to say to Jeremy's point, and I wrote about this in my key stats article. It's going to go up, but someone I'm thankful for is Rob Lohman. the Lions director of pro scouting, because who were the difference makers yesterday? DJ Reader got him
Yep.
from Cincinnati. Zadarius Smith got him from somewhere
Yep.
else. All of these guys who are coming into Jeremy's point. I'm thankful
It's
for the Lions front office.
Yeah, it's not just the homegrown talent guys. They're doing a lot, but you're also getting a lot of other guys from your pro signings that are contributing in a bigly way. I'm thankful for Righteous Felon Craft Jerky and Meat Sticks, who for 3 years has been has been sponsoring the Pride of Detroit POD cast with their great meat snacks. And listen, no Thanksgiving or Black Friday meal after is complete without Foul Capone turkey jerky. Listen, you may be thinking to yourself, turkey jerky, what's that? That's for hippies. Telling you, man, it's some of our favorite stuff in the world. Basil, cracked pepper. It's fantastic because Righteous Felon has unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offerings. Quality, superior quality, revolutionary branding, all natural Black Angus beef. It's all delicious. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein. Each stick has 8 grams. And we've been chowing on this stuff nonstop, Ryan. Give the gift of meat this holidays.
Meat.
It's what's for dinner.
Are we allowed to say
I mean,
that?
I would. Yeah. Why wouldn't we?
I don't know.
Is that trademarked?
It's a trademark.
Who was that pork that copied it, or was it that's an old one? Man.
Yeah.
What about belief? It's what's for dinner.
Where's the belief?
Where's the
The belief. Hey, Righteous Felon, do we have a belief flavored jerky?
There should be.
Yeah. Anyway, POD 15 at checkout at righteousfelon.com will get you 15% off your order and get the meat in. It's getting the holidays. It's getting cold. You're going to need some meats to warm you
Meat
up.
sticks in the stockings. Perfect.
I'm not going to repeat what he just said. POD 15 at checkout at righteousfelon.com. We'll be right back on the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Hi, chat.
Don't be weird, guys. That wasn't meant to sound perverted. You can I'm just saying, like they fit.
Say it. What do they do so well? Seems like you want to put a verb there.
The meat sticks fit in the the stockings, all right?
Yeah, they do. Lots of things fit in stockings. Rubik's cubes,
That's right.
gumballs.
All right. Let me get to a bunch of Twitch alerts, and then we'll hang out with chat for a little bit. Ryan and I are both on very tight schedules here, so we'll probably jump back into the show pretty quickly here.
I would like to give some Ruby some love tonight, too, so.
Let's see, where was I? Mike, thank you for the subscription on YouTube. Asia, thank you for the sub on Twitch for 2 months. Appreciate that.
All of Asia, the entire continent.
That's right. AJA, though. Like the...
Oh, Asia, like the Steely Dan. It was a
Steely Dan.
Asia.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like Asia Wilson.
No, isn't it Aja? Aja? How do you say? I'm not actually the expert on it. I thought it was Aja, but I could be completely wrong.
No idea. And I'm not sure how AJA
I'll look it up.
pronounces it themselves. So
Someone had a great picture one time of the holiday travel on one of the LA freeways, and put it like right next to that album cover. Because it's like the red line, the white line.
Mm-hmm.
It was uncanny.
Darth Tater,
I think I'm right, by the way. But go ahead. It is Asia Wilson.
Okay.
Just confirmed.
Oh, Asia Wilson, but not the Steely Dan.
Not the Steely Dan.
Darth Tater, thank you for the 23 months. Subscribe to the channel. Rye is the beast. $2 super chat says over under on Jeremy saying Stafford instead of Goff. This happened in the Madden sim where I may have called Goff Stafford at least 3 times.
That's okay. That happens to a lot of men.
It's because it was a night sim. All right, I'm not at my sharpest at the night. This is a matinee. I'll be fine. UConn Lions fan, thank you for the 8 months. Says LFG 11-1. D-Man 48 months. That's 4 years by my math. Appreciate the support. Kula, 25 months, says 11-1. My goodness, keep moving forward. All you can do right now. Griffey Boy, 8 months. Actually, let me go back to the real quick, because the one thing I am thankful for is Dan Campbell. Not only because he didn't do what Matt Eberflus does, but like his answer when he was asked, like, does it ever bother you when your team seems so snake bitten by injuries? He's like, what good does bothering do for me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would I care? Who cares? Like, if I sit here and wallow about it, I'm wasting my time. Just like I'd be wasting my time if I threw a fit for the pass interference call, which I like that he referenced that too, because clearly that did bother him. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come to mind.
Yeah.
But that's like such a positive attitude to have in that moment, that you're just like, listen, my focus is now on just getting the guys in there that we need and moving on from there, because just laying and playing emo music and crying into my beer, like, that ain't going to do anything. That ain't going to make this team better.
I think if we're doing these for real, then I think to take one for me that I can probably sneak in here for, I'm still thankful for, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm thankful for Lions fans. I think there's been enough people out there that have realized how different this is. I would have expected in the past year even some like Bronx cheers or something as the offense was coming off the field, and no, I think people understood the assignment. The only thing I'll say is I know that people are so excited to do Jared Goff chants. You have to settle them down sometimes, but that's fine. That's whatever.
I think I've finally joined the side of I'm ready to retire the Jared Goff thing.
Is it wearing out its welcome?
I really don't like it in the game. Like, before the game, sure. When he's coming out of the tunnel, sure. After the game, sure.
Yeah.
Between, like, the poor scoreboard operator, the Jumbotron operator, like, as soon as they start, he's got his button ready on the quiet, please.
Yeah.
button. And
hey, that's fine. Listen, there's a lot of new people coming into this. It's going to happen.
I don't know. Part of me, the cynical part of me is like, this is what happens when you raise ticket prices. You get a bunch of rich people that don't even care about the game. They're just there for the status symbol. Not true fans.
They're just there for the greatest hits. They're not there for any of the B-sides. They're not there for any Brock Wright 3-yard completions. Now, they're not there for that.
I'm fully admitting this is the cynical side of me, and
this is very cynical.
I shouldn't view society that way, but
shouldn't tell people how to cheer.
No, but
when to cheer, is the beef.
True. I'll also say this: they weren't that loud yesterday.
Hey, I noticed on the radio, because I was listening to the final drive for the most part until I got to my family's house where I was having dinner, and literally watched the once they got to the 50-yard line. But on the radio, I was like, it sounds like the Wayne County morgue in this place. And the Lions were on defense. Like, I could hear Dan Miller call the touchdown as clear as day.
The loudest it got was when the Bears were backed up at their 1-yard line at the beginning of the game. It was very loud then.
It was very loud then, yeah.
Well, I'm going to imagine this is a different crowd for Thanksgiving. What are we doing here? We're now just like shitting on everyone who listens to this thing and anyone who's in the Lions fan.
No. We're asking you to be better.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm definitely saying the Jared Goff chants have overworn their welcome. It's like if you use an office GIF on any social media, like, it's the same thing. It had its time, it had its moment. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool, but like everybody does it.
If you're still using the what is it? Surprise? Was it the surprise prairie dog? The prairie dog that turns around. Suspense dramatic prairie dog.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, when did that come out? That was like baby's first YouTube video reaction.
I like Jay-Z's PTSOL was kicking in for people.
Maybe.
I think. Listen, I had to handle a Discord, and it was definitely coming back a little bit. But hey, who said it? Like, I even saw some beat writers saying it feels a little bit like SOL again right now. But
I did see one person say that, and I was not happy at that person that they tweeted that. I'm not going to say who it was, but I wasn't happy at that person who said that.
Wait, what? I missed all that.
I will say, I see someone's put in the Bears call from that final play. I have heard it before. It's not as good as Dan's. I will say that.
No, I wish it would have happened against the Vikings, because then we would have gotten a real good
Paul Allen just melting the fuck down.
Yeah.
Oh, especially on the flags. That's when you
Oh,
really
yeah.
get Paul Allen to spin out of control.
No,
I-
the Bears guy is so old; they just don't have a lot of fire in him for that.
Yeah. Let me get through the alerts really quick, and then we can jump back into other
Yeah.
stuff that maybe we're not going to talk on the podcast. Like maybe the penalty stuff. I don't really feel like talking about it on the podcast, but
I don't want to talk
am-
penalties. I've never wanted to talk
I am
penalties.
still a
That-
little bit fired up over the pass interference, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Completely
Um,
uncatchable.
The last PI was dumb,
Mhm.
right? For sure. But like let's just say the piece right now. I think the thing is like, to your point about PTSOL, there was a little bit of PTOSL with all of the stuff I saw about penalties and non-called penalties.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially once we got into the second half and there was like a holding penalty I'm like, guys, did you forget everybody was doing this for 6 weeks with Aiden Hutchinson, right? Like that's the thing to do on social media is just to talk about how often Aiden Hutchinson's getting held. It's like
Yeah.
that happens to every defender who's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it happens, folks. I'm sorry, but it happens.
And
There was a pretty
granted,
bad
granted, I've
non-holding
seen
call on the
I saw
touchdown pass, though.
I saw plenty of Bears fans also mad at calls they
Yeah.
were not
Oh,
getting.
yeah.
I don't remember them, but again, I just
Oh,
think the
the
officiating was bad both
The
ways.
horse collar was terrible.
The horse collar, right? Yeah, yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like they go
Yeah.
both
And apparently
ways.
they were
For sure.
Apparently there was like a missed hands to the face late in the game on that Caleb Williams drive too, or whatever. But like,
Oh, the
that's-
receiver got
Yeah.
face masked, and then he threw
Hands
the
to the
ball
face,
and
yeah,
got
yeah.
and then got
Yeah.
flagged for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just us. It's Caleb Williams. He doesn't know what a penalty is either.
Well, I think the reason I got so worked up yesterday was because two of the penalty mistakes hit like the very sensitive spot for me, where I just like I get
the
so
DPI.
worked up. The
Oh, yeah.
DPI,
Spot
DPI.
spot
penalties, I
foul,
know.
automatic
Spot
first
penalties,
down, uncatchable balls is almost never called in this league. And then I'm sorry, but like delay a game should not be a gray area penalty. When the clock hits 0, it's a delay of game. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of this like, oh, well, I'll give them as much time as it takes for me to look at the ball and then look up at the... No. What are we doing here? This isn't
Is there a
soccer.
is there a
Time
problem
isn't
at Ford Field?
approximate.
This happens at Ford Field a lot. What's the problem at Ford Field?
I don't know. But I'm telling you, that it like...
Remember the Ravens game?
You can't
Yeah.
play the... well, you know, the clock on the screen at the on the broadcast isn't the same as the... I had eyes on it. I have eyes on the play clock all the time. I am a play clock Nazi, and I'll tell you that both times it was at least a full second after that thing was at 0. And I don't understand how we
Buzzers.
buzzers, anything.
Yeah.
Like make it reviewable. I don't care if it decimal. Go
Yeah.
to decimal seconds, for God's sakes. This is something I will flip my table over. Go to the decimal seconds, not only on the play clock, but on the game clock when you get under a minute, so that we don't have this, well, was there 1 second left when the ball hit the ground? Be more exact. It's not hard. Every other sport does it.
Yeah. I'll keep chain gangs around, but I will gladly add decimals because you know what? The NBA figured that out a while ago, and I'm not
NBA
about to be
does it.
shown up. I'm not about to be
Fucking
shown up
hockey
by
does
those
it.
jackasses.
I feel like this has to be part of the podcast.
Do you need me to like clip this? Sure.
I don't know
yeah.
if I can get worked up like that again. But
No. This will
no.
go in. This will go in. I'm
Like-
saying it's being recorded right now. So
That-
like,
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
God, guys, like one thing I'm thankful for is just having that moment right there made me think back to yesteryear. That was a rage corner. We just did a rage corner for the first time in
oh
how
my
long?
God.
Oh man.
Not since the Patricia years, or first year DC, I think.
That had a separate theme song to it, didn't it?
Yes. No, I had imaging and everything. I had some like Rick and Morty based imaging or
That's
something.
right.
You're yelling at me again.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That
Maybe that's how it goes in the podcast. You're just like, we interrupt the podcast for this rage corner bit.
For this Rage Corner throwback.
I think you're
give me a
you're
few
right
seconds. Give me a few seconds silence so I at least find it in the feed. So give me this. Hold on.
Jeremy channeling her sister is a witch vibe. That video is so good.
though. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, that's enough silence. I'll be able to find it. Just writing a note to myself because I also have an early night myself.
Oh,
And Tactile Puma, great call. make it challengeable just like offsides in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't usually take too long to figure out.
It's black and white. It's black and white.
It would take even less time
Yeah.
to figure it out because you
Yeah.
just look at the screen. Was it at 0? Was the ball out, snapped? Figure it out.
I do get a nice pat on the back there too, because we have started implementing the swear jar for Movember for myself. Up to 3 after the men's. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
that's what people were telling me about, because I was doing the post game and suddenly someone was like, "Oh, are you doing the swear jar too?" I'm like, "What? What do you?"
No, we did
What
it
did I
last
do?
year, where I think we did it during the whole month, and then I realized halfway through this month that I wasn't doing it, and so I'm like, oh, I got to get back in on it. And I'm pretty sure I went through that whole rant without swearing. So,
Oh, you came close.
Man.
anyways. Yeah, let me get
any
through the rest of the
alerts?
alerts
Yeah.
real quick. Yeah. Griffey
Yeah.
Boy, thank you for the 8 months total subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you. One Pride, 20 months, says 11-1, wishing Rodrigo speedy recovery. Indeed. RGA 15-bit says, did they sign Jonah Williams to the 53? They did, because I believe he was on the Rams practice squad, and so if you're going to poach someone from the practice squad, they have to go right to your 53. The Lions haven't made that official or the Quan Alexander signing official yet. I would assume I think they didn't have an extra spot on the 53. So Rodrigo will go to IR. That'll be one of the spots. I'm not sure what the other spot's going to be. But anyways, a quarter, 26 months says broke the streak even if the games didn't go how we all wanted. Tough injuries. That's right. Breaking that Thanksgiving streak. Also, sadly, broke the 25 straight games with a rushing touchdown streak.
Yeah.
That made me sad. David Lunch, 23 months subscribed to the channel. Appreciate you. Moose, thank you for the follow on Twitch. And Damian Smith with £5 says, could you please talk a little bit about the second half offense? Why did they go away from the run?
We'll talk about the offense. I think there's an easy answer on why it goes away from the run, though, which is always like, I don't know. Once you've established a run, the whole point is to open up the passing game. Like,
Even though I wrote it in my grades, upon revisiting the game, I don't think they went away from the run. They just didn't have the ball. Like,
also too, they started stacking the box. The Bears sold out very hard to stop the run in this game.
Goff threw the ball 10 times in the second half. They ran it 12. That's a pretty good split.
It flip flopped. Time of possession.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most influential drives was run to Montgomery, run to Montgomery, run to Montgomery, and they got stopped on 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
I know you hate it, Jeremy. Oh, maybe we should just talk about it on the podcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we'll keep the rest of that. I had some other point I was going to say, and I've completely forgotten what it is now. I am trying to remember it because I really want to talk about it. Oh, right. Talking about stuff that was like, streaks that was lost. It felt very bittersweet because I loved this graphic. Someone had one of those, like, have you let up more than one passing touchdown in a game? And it's like 31 teams, like, yes. If you tell me if there's a lot, and it's just Aaron Glenn, no. That got broken on Thanksgiving too.
It did.
Very unfortunate.
That's a crazy streak though. Like that.
That is
I wouldn't have even
insane.
been able to tell you that had happened. It doesn't feel like the Lions' pass defense had been that dominant, but they kind of had been. So.
And to be fair, like those weren't red zone passing touchdowns that were given up. I think one of them was, but like there was that other Keenan Allen one that was like outside the red zone.
Yeah.
Like that's I've been telling people that feels like the power of this Lions secondary is when you're playing with a shorter field, they're just going to gas you out of the red zone. They're just not going to let you get anything in the end zone.
But that's funny because like early in the season there was a streak where it's like they had not given up a touchdown outside the red zone, a single one outside the red zone. Now that's obviously gone. It
seems like it's flip flopped. Yeah.
Time to start some new streaks. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's right.
There certainly was a hold on that TD pass. I think on Muhammad too.
Yeah.
But again,
whatever.
Penalties.
We're bigger than complaining about penalties at this point.
I think maybe we talked enough about injuries that we can just get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of the game. Yeah.
I was thinking that too. I know
Okay.
we were trying to save it for segment 2, but now I think we just kind of go
Yeah.
straight into.
Okay.
We've barely talked any offense, so I feel like
Yeah.
again, that's a good prompt for us to talk in segment 2.
Okay. Let's jump right into it because
Yeah.
I think we both want to get out of here at 6 at the latest. So
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah, I've got other stuff I need to do, and it looks like the Raiders are threatening to try to make this game interesting.
Patrick Mahomes throw for 2 touchdowns yet? Or...
Don't guys. We want them watching us. Don't tell them that there's a football game going on. Maybe they forgot.
No, just put it on another screen, background track. Mute it. Watch us.
That's right. All right, let's get to it.
The main show.
The main show.
Oh, someone asked when we're going to do the midweek mailbag. That's going to happen during our and can we mention that at the top? Marathon stream
sure.
tomorrow, Saturday.
Yes, thank you. Okay, yeah.
8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. Welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. If you're listening to this on Saturday, you should turn right over to our Twitch and YouTube pages because there is a marathon stream. Part of that will include the midweek mailbag, which is happening on a weekend because of several factors. Number one, no Lions game on a Sunday. Number two, live show on Wednesday. So our schedule is all flip-flopped along with everything else right now, but we will have plenty on Saturday. There'll be that. POD staff coming in and out all the time, raising money for the Rogel Cancer Center, and guest appearances and other fun things, and mostly just Jeremy torturing himself.
Yeah, well, there's definitely going to be a little bit of that. I'm going to be jumping into a cold vat of water. I got a whole bunch of people from the Lions beat coming on, which is very nice of them because they're, it's a holiday weekend. They're spending time to help us. But we're trying to make one last push for the Rogel Cancer Center. As of recording of this, we're at 23,000. Still a little bit of ways to go, but that final stream, that big mega stream that we do on Saturday and then the live show on Wednesday are going to be big pushes. So hope to see all of you there, like you said, on Twitch or YouTube or in person on Wednesday.
I believe I owe a egg to the face for myself as well.
Yes.
So I'll try to carve out some time. Usually I'm like a weekend warrior with my other job sometimes. So, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get back to this football game that we have to talk about here. We've talked a lot of injuries and defense in the first half. I want to talk a little bit about the offense here. Do you think, Jeremy, this was a good offensive day for the Detroit Lions? Because I feel like the Lions fan would see 23 points. They'd see situationally the Lions kind of getting stopped in the second half, not getting the same success in scoring. They had one touchdown in the third quarter, shut out in the fourth quarter. No real answer as the Bears were roaring back to try to take this. There was a missed Jake Bates field goal. Speaking about another first that happened, Jake Bates finally missed a field goal. So you had some of these blemishes, but I just think back to the Colts game where we were all saying the same thing. Wow, this is not, offense not as productive on points, but oh, by the way, that weekend they were first overall in net success rate on offensive snaps among all the teams that played on Sunday. And the Lions still registered 400 yards of offense in this game. 211 from Jared Goff and Penei Sewell, who shows up in the quarterback sheet. We cannot forget that. And 194 yards on the ground. So very productive, but, between the missed field goal and the Jahmyr Gibbs crazy fumble, kind of see how we got here. But, what would you say still, though, you're looking at the second half and it's just not the same dynamism happening?
Yeah, I guess... it certainly wasn't as explosive as it was in the first half, and I know explosive might not feel like the right adjective to use when they only scored 16 points in the first half, but those were all long scoring drives, right? They weren't just we got good field position because the Bears messed up. They worked their way down the field between the 20s in a very productive manner. The running game was almost unstoppable in the first half. And really the only things that kind of slipped them up to me were dumb mistakes that are a little uncharacteristic of this team. It's It's the JMO penalty. It's the fumble. It's the Amon-Ra St. Brown holding penalty. It's, a missed field goal. All these sort of things that the Lions have relatively been clean in for most of this game. And yes, the Bears deserve some credit, and there were a lot of throwaways from Jared Goff that were forced by either good coverage or bad pass protection. But I would say in general, they still move the ball relatively well. And if they just execute a little bit better in some of these situations, the 3rd and 1 run that I referenced, like if they convert on that, this game's a little bit different. If they don't fumble at the end of the first half, this game's a little bit different. If JMO doesn't cost them 15 yards, this game's a little bit different. And they probably put the game away a little bit earlier. And so I don't think I have any concerns about the offense coming out of this game at all. I just feel like situationally they weren't great. And that's happened to them before, but the Tampa game, right? It happened a lot in the Tampa game. And this kind of felt a little bit like the Tampa game, maybe with a little bit of the San Francisco game mixed in, where it was just like you made these uncharacteristic mistakes in very unfortunate times, but you survived this one. And that's okay, because sometimes you're going to have games like this. And I would say in general, there was more success on a play-by-play basis than there was failure. And I'm okay with that. Like this was a top 10 pass defense that the Bears have, and a bottom 2 or 3 run defense. And what did the Lions succeed at and struggle at? Well, they were pretty darn good on the run, and they struggled against the pass. Like that matches who they were facing. You have to give some of the credit there, and then you clean up the mistakes. And I'm not concerned. I'm not.
No, it was really a tale of, I thought, red zone inefficiency in the first half, right? Those are normally touchdowns, and because they weren't touchdowns, they were field goals. And two things. One, Gibbs, 2 carries for 4 yards in the second half. I mean, so if you want to look at the rest of his box score, guys, how many yards did Jahmyr Gibbs have? 7 carries for 83 yards in the first half. Now, you might say, well, was one of them just a long run? No.
They all
No. Gibbs had 4 carries of 10 yards or more in the first half. Guy was incredible. He had a 28-yard run. Big time plays. Second half went completely away from him. Now, they got him involved in the pass game instead. I think the thing that I liked the least about the offense's approach in the second half was, kind of distilled in that one drive where it was David Montgomery a few times. And, out of shotgun. Running out of shotgun is one of my least favorite things to do. Because, and especially with a guy like Montgomery, why do you want to be in that spot? Let that guy get some momentum rather than getting the ball like that. I don't know. That's just me personally. But other than that, I'm not worried at all, because Jeremy, I thought you made a great point. 33 carries for 194 yards. That's 5.9 a pop.
Yeah. You'll take that every single day of the week.
Almost rushing for 200 yards? Yes.
Yeah.
The Lions are going to win almost every game that they rush for 200 yards plus.
I think what was really uncharacteristic of this game, because, sometimes the offense is going to go through a little bit of rut. Sometimes the defense is going to go through a little rut. Sometimes special teams is going to go through a little rut. This was the first time, maybe all season, where all 3 in the fourth quarter just were, they were all out of sync, right? You missed the field goal. The offense
usually what the third quarter was like.
Yeah, right. But the good thing about it is, what unit got them out of that rut? Special teams. Jack Fox.
Crazy.
The incredible punt that makes the Bears have to go 99 yards to win the ball game. And as I put in my grades, when you give the Bears that much rope, they are going to hang themselves with it. And that's exactly what happened.
Grim. I also think too, is there's not going to be many more games where you've got a divisional opponent like this that just has your goat. The way the Bears have always stymied what the Lions want to do on offense. They've been good at it. They've just been good at it. I hate to say it, but
yeah, they've had our number defensively for sure.
like even more than the Vikings had, like even
No
more
question.
everyone was gassing up Brian Flores and their defense, and the Lions solved it. Whereas this is what the Bears defense under Matt Eberflus has always done. If you're going to give the guy one thing as he's walking out the door from Hallis Hall today, it's like, congratulations, you've given this Lions offense nothing but hell for the few years you've been here.
You could certainly make a very easy argument that the Bears should have won the last 3 games they have played against the Lions.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, maybe even 4.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's just...
and listen, that game in Soldier Field is not going to be easy in 3 weeks. Like,
No,
their defense, I wouldn't call them good because of how bad their run defense is, but their pass defense is legit. That back 7 is
Jalen
legit.
Johnson
They've got good
is amazing.
linebackers. Yes, they have good defensive backs, and it caused Jared Goff to hold on to the ball quite a bit, and then had to throw a few away. So,
bearing in mind too, also not having Taylor Decker again for this game as well, which I'm going to imagine that contributes to some of the pressure too, no matter what.
For sure. But it certainly looked better than it did against the Texans.
Yes. Him. Oh yeah. No. Well, he started doing the rollout thing we keep talking about that I think has really helped adds to that. But it just, again, nothing with the looks and the Bears did very well in disguising a lot of their pressure through this game. So it's kind of the push and pull. I just don't think the offense is going to have that many down days like that. I am still, however, always in favor of until the end of the season, Ryan, trying to get Penei Sewell a touchdown pass.
The most impressive play that I've seen go for negative yardage since Barry Sanders.
You can tell he didn't want to take a sack too. He was trying to get out. He did not want to take that sack.
Penei Sewell is the closest thing the Detroit Lions have had to a mobile quarterback since Dante Culpepper
starting.
Did Jared Lorenzen ever play for the Lions?
Okay, so Mike McMahon.
Hendon. Come on. Don't do Hendon like that. My favorite thing about the Penei play is, like, I thought it took a lot of discipline not to throw that ball, right? Like, it's the one opportunity you might get ever in your career to throw it, and you recognize, hey, it's not there. I'm going to tuck it and run. And I expressed it to Jared Goff after the game, like, hey, man, like, that good discipline from him to do that. And he in such a, like, quarterback mindset, he's like, should have thrown it away, though. It's like, oh, come on. Like, what do you expect from this man?
He got sacked for 0 net yards. Like, it's not like he lost yardage on that play.
The difference between Penei Sewell and Jared Goff is that Penei Sewell can
break a
fend
tackle.
off 5 defenders. I think there were 5 guys who tried to tackle him on that play. None of them succeeded, and I think the biggest flex was him going out of the sideline, Penei Sewell, and just like shrugging it off, like giving him the Rocky treatment, Chris.
Yeah.
No, sorry, not the Rocky treatment. Jake LaMotta, Robert De Niro in Raging Bull. Just like, I never went down. I never went down, Ray. I never went down.
I love the Art But Make It Sports account on X and Blue Sky.
So
and David slaying the bear was what they did with Penei shrugging off the Bears defenders.
So good.
It was, I think we have to start the propaganda for Penei Sewell Offensive Player of the Year, if nothing else, because, like, what a jewel in pass protection, what a jewel in blocking for the run. Like, this is,
I've said it since they drafted him, but they design plays for him, and I don't mean to throw it or to run it, but, like, they design plays in the run game knowing Penei's going to be the key block on this play. And I feel like that doesn't happen with a lot of offensive linemen across the league. It's incredible. He's one of the more fun athletes to watch in Detroit right now. I think he might be the most fun athlete to watch in Detroit, and God, I hope they figure out another way to get the ball in his hands. I'm so upset that they burned it there, and I don't know. I see he throws the ball every Friday, and, like, it's crazy how well he can do it. He can throw it 40 yards, perfect spiral, and it needs to be out there. It needs to be in a box score. Like, I need to see it.
It needs to be to see him.
Why isn't he playing quarterback? He can throw a 40-yard spiral? What? I'm just saying. Sometimes they come out a little wobbly. But the last thing I want to say about Sewell is that I need him, Chris. This would be the ultimate human victory cigar, more so than Darko Milicic ever was. If Penei Sewell can accomplish Chicago Bears erasure, put Penei Sewell in the backfield in the Super Bowl and have him score a touchdown, so Refrigerator Perry becomes a distant memory. It's like
I mean,
like the one last thing the Lions can do to give Bears and Bears fans.
bury that thing entirely. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I support it in the Super Bowl because like if he gets injured on that play, like in the wild card round or something,
Oh
you
yeah.
suddenly look like the worst coaching staff in football.
no. You'll do it up like 30 in the Super Bowl. Just to really drive the nail home. Just show everyone that like this Lions team doesn't quit ever, and they're still going to. And then we're gonna have 3 months of people saying whether or not that was disrespectful of Ben Johnson to do that play, and we'll just be laughing and laughing and laughing.
Man, like I don't know. I don't want to keep on talking Super Bowl or being funny, but like Chris Jones versus the Detroit Lions offensive line would be what the best matchup in that Super Bowl.
Oh
Yeah.
man, let's save the pipe dreaming until we get a little bit closer. I don't want to count any kind of chickens right now, especially as I'm watching the Chiefs really struggling with the Raiders here.
The Raiders are going to make the Super Bowl?
No, they're
Oh,
not.
okay.
No, good lord, they are not. What else do we need to talk about from this game? I don't want to harp too much on Jamison Williams, but I think I said it last time that he's just been kind of playing a little bit loose on that. But I think this was definitely a place to grow on, and from what I heard about him, like approaching the team unprompted too, it seemed to mean a lot there. But just you learn on that. It's a guy taunting you the whole time, and he's not getting called. I get it, but
Always get the second guy.
yeah, especially when you throw a ball in a dude's face too.
Right. That one's hard to miss.
Like that was kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in a weird spot with JMO because I do think people are a little too quick to jump to defend him when he continues to make mistakes and just playing the he's young card. I mean, he's in year 3, right? Like that's a mistake you probably shouldn't make in year 3. Is it the end of the world, and am I asking to cut the guy or I mean, they did bench him, right? And then Allen Robinson immediately misses a block on a key play. But at the same time, like, can you kind of quit this stuff? Like, can we not go a week with it? Can we go a week without talking about your immaturity a little bit? Because here's the thing.
That's what I mean. Like, I know he plays the fun about him, but like it was starting to get a little too loose the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So,
And listen,
yeah.
like, there was earlier in that game in which Zeitler had to hold him back from reacting to a guy who hit him late. A guy hit him late, shoved him to the ground, and he had every right to be mad.
Yep.
But Zeitler had to hold him back from getting the same kind of thing where they only catch the second guy. And so I understand Jameson's a guy who plays with a lot of emotions, and in a lot of ways that makes him a spectacular player, right? And only an emotional player would try to hurdle a guy standing up,
Which he accomplished.
which he very
Yes.
much accomplished.
in a spectacular fashion.
And if there wasn't another defender behind that guy that he hurdled over, that could have gone for even further than it did, because
Right.
it wasn't just I jumped over another human being basically standing up, but I did it in stride and I hit the ground ready to keep going.
Yeah.
I do
I'm
not
just-
care that he threw the football at a guy's face because he'd been getting after him all game. I really don't. Like, why do we have to keep on talking about the immaturity? Like, I don't want to keep using it as a scapegoat. Like, that's the thing that makes me more upset than anything is that people use him as a scapegoat because they're like, oh, and then Bates misses a field goal and then the Bears
Yeah,
score a
that's-
touchdown and that's a 10-point swing. Oh, Jamison Williams did all of those things?
Yeah. No, of course not. But he put them in a bad situation while they were in a scoring position, right? It was bad timing.
agree.
It
Bad
cost
move,
them.
yeah.
I mean, that was the end of the drive. Let's be clear.
It was.
Yeah.
But like, but does that really hurt Jake Bates' chances
No.
of making a field goal in that
No.
spot?
No. That's
By no means.
Right. And the Lions have usually been really good about not letting one mistake lead to another. And it's never the first guy's fault that with everything that follows. I'm just saying, like, there's a middle ground here between Jameson can do no wrong and Jameson's
yeah.
a thug, right? Like you can
Yeah.
split the middle line here of like he needs to be better, but he's still like the juice is still worth the squeeze, right? Like this guy is still a valuable part of the team. He is young, but we're starting to run out of,
We're still running a landing strip here.
yeah, in terms of him being young, right?
Young, yeah.
He needs to be better. I think
No,
we can say that he needs to be better, and that's it, and leave it at that. I'm not saying anything other than he needs to be better.
Yeah. I'm also thankful for Tim Patrick today, Ryan. Was this probably Tim Patrick's, you think, best game so far?
For Tim Patrick?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm honestly thinking like back to the Colts game last week, right? Didn't Tim Patrick have a pretty big game against the Colts last week too? Made a few catches.
Oh man, I probably have a bad memory and I'm forgetting everything
No.
now. I have to like double check, but
But Tim Patrick did have he ran a dig route in this game that
it
was probably Jared Goff's best pass that he made all day
Beautiful.
on
Yes.
this gosh, that had to have been like a 30-yard pass. Like that was
It was.
an incredible throw that Goff made to Patrick
So
on
he
a rope. So
he had more yards in the Colts game. He was 4 for 4 in the Colts game, but I just think of that dig route you're talking about, Ryan,
mhm.
because that was
Beautiful play.
fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. Like
He caught it in traffic too. Broke a tackle, turned it upfield for another 5-10 yards. Yeah, I mean he is just a valuable guy who will give you a random explosive play or two a game, and that's called the Josh Reynolds role, and he's filling it perfectly.
Yep.
Yep.
He does everything he needs to. And as far as blocking too, right? Like, and you bring that up and how important that is with their wide receivers when you mentioned how Allen Robinson misses that one, that Jameson Williams is really good at that stuff, right? So, yeah. And then
Jameis crackback block was BS too.
that was a BS call. Amon-Ra though, like just like the most like quiet 5 catches for 73 yards ever.
yeah, that's just what he does.
Like it's just like that. Okay, like you see that stat line from him, and you're like, oh, okay, he just like existed in the game.
Can I talk about this stat line though? This is where I had to laugh a little bit. I have a friend at work who has been baggy on me nonstop because he's a fantasy guy and he's not happy with drafting Sam Laporta this year. But Sam Laporta got you 2 touchdowns on 6 yards in this game.
Listen, I beyond like the fantasy value of a stat line like that, we talked about how good this Bears defense is. They're really good in the red zone. They're a top 5 red zone defense, and so having a guy like Sam Laporta in the red zone, I mean those are 2 huge plays in this game. And I mean I fell in love with the first one that he scored, which was like you send Brock Wright in motion to for some eye candy there. You fake the pitch to Gibbs on the left, and you just watch the linebackers part, and there is no one in the middle of the field, and you just have Sam Laporta, hey, go win on your one-on-one with a linebacker, and he does with ease, and it's just an easy score. Like that was such a cool play by Ben Johnson, and something that I feel like might get overlooked when people are complaining about the play calling on third down or the play calling in the red zone or the play calling in the second half or whatever. Like the reason they're up is because he's got some brilliant plays in there that worked in a really cool way. Maybe I put this out on Twitter. I think my favorite one was a big Amon-Ra catch where they're running a mesh which just basically means like 2 crossing routes over each other. And then Amon-Ra like curls his back to where he came from, almost like a whip route, but 20 yards downfield. And he is wide open for a big play. I thought there were some really, really cool offensive plays in this game. So I think maybe some of the Ben Johnson hate needs to be toned down a little bit, but I understand why people are obviously upset about only 7 points in the second half.
I don't feel like they've been this loud though since the Bucks game, and it makes sense because the Lions were on the doorstep, right?
Yeah.
So
yep, yeah, but it's a good. Sometimes you gotta give at least a little bit of nod to the opponent because that is a tough defense in the red zone.
200 yards rushing. 200 yards rushing. They did everything they wanted to. They just missed on some opportunities.
Yep.
And no turnovers for the Lions.
No, they did have turnover. Gibbs.
They have the Jahmyr Gibbs.
No. I'm talking about for the defense, like generating a turnover.
Yeah.
No takeoffs.
And like and I mean, yeah. So I mean, the Lions haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't really dealt with that all season.
They haven't
Right.
gotten their like standard once a game Kirby Joseph / Brian Branch takeaway.
2 straight games without an interception after having one in the first 9 games. 12 games? 10 games?
Losing the turnover differential? What's that?
Well, and you can almost flip that as a positive, though, because I think I've said it a couple times this season. I was a little bit concerned about the defense once the turnovers dried up, if they were going to dry up. You never know if they are or aren't, but a lot of analytical people seem to think that turnovers are relatively random. And so I was wondering, like, can this defense still hold up strong if the turnovers aren't coming? And they didn't for 4 quarters here, but they certainly did for 2. And listen, we talked about the injuries and all that already. It's not going to be easy going ahead. They'll probably need some of those turnovers back down the stretch. But again, they have a front 4 that's manageable, and they have a back 4 that I think is outstanding. So they still got a shot.
Yeah. I think we'll wrap it up there, along with the little rant that made its way into the middle of the podcast. I think we've covered this game fair and square. We've got 6 days now until Thursday Night Football. The Lions have to get back off of a Thursday game on just 7 days rest for the third game in 10 days.
11, yeah.
It's not good. It's not fun.
Thanks, NFL.
But you know what? You get through this and you have 10 days to then prepare for, it's the Bills. You're going through the hell part of the schedule. That's why I'm saying just keep the ship afloat. Keep the rudder going strong. We'll see what happens after that, because this team's still going places. We hope to see you out there for the live show on Wednesday, December 4th, the day before that Packers game. We hope to see you on our marathon stream. We hope to just see you nonstop, because we're always here for you. And for myself, for Jeremy Reisman, Ryan Matthews, we will see you starside.
Recording stopped.
Perfect. There we go. Out in time for you guys too, with 9
Yes.
minutes to spare.
Really quick, AP Rambo, thank you for the 46 months subscribed to the channel, but I think we are going to cut our time a little bit short. No Movember stuff to take care of anyways. I'm going to try to get a little bit of rest. Also have a nice dinner with some old high school buddies. But 8 a.m. tomorrow is when the shenanigans start. Right here on twitch.tv/PrideOfDetroit or youtube.com/@PrideOfDetroit. 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. Lions talk all day, special guests all day, POD studs all day, Movember shenanigans. So please bring your pocketbooks. Bring your pockets too. I mean, you got to put your pocketbook somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your virtual wallets. How about that? Is that a more
Is that
modern
more hip?
reference?
This is getting off the very quick.
Does anybody write checks anymore?
Bring your PayPals.
Venmos.
Your Venmo. No, you can't donate via Venmo, I don't believe. But anyways, we're going to be live for how many hours is that? 14 hours?
Something like that.
It's going to be a long
time.
time. But we'll be talking about just about everything. So if you want more Lions talk, if you want shenanigans where we're writing on our face and changing our backgrounds and jumping into vats of cold water, should be a very, very fun day. Anything else to let the people know before we get out of here?
Thankful for you guys.
We're
That's right. Thankful
you
for all of
guys.
you.
Hopefully you guys got some great deals. I think I'm going to get Hulu for 99 cents a
Ooh, that's
month.
good.
That
Wow.
seems like a pretty
I need
good deal.
to.
They're
I
begging
think
to get me back.
I think I'm going to be buying a couple new computer parts here. So,
Nice.
and my mom just sent me a kitty fountain for Ruby.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a nice little
Score.
water fountain. So I'm setting that up as soon as I get off here.
All right. Well, we're going to get out here right now then. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. bright and early for the marathon stream. But until then, have an awesome, safe Black Friday. Be safe out there in the snow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, God.